Obedience to me out of love is your greatest protection. Part 3 of 3. August 31st, 2022. Spoken by Pascal. Dear brothers and sisters, the Lord has inspired us to make a summary of some of His teachings on obedience. So, here follow excerpts from those teachings. Of course, there is much more on this topic on our website, jesuscomes.com. We published a summary in 3 videos. Here follows part 3 of 3. A serious warning to my bride. Without love, you will not stand before me. Message from Jesus through Sister Clare from April 20th, 2015. Jesus began, "Watch and pray always, that you be counted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man." If I love you, and you are not committed to loving others, you are not worthy to escape what is to take place on the earth. Love will be the acid test, not doctrine, for that shall pass away. Not prophecy, for that too is fleeting. You may be a prophet full of the word of the Lord, but if you have not love, you will not stand. Oh, Lord, that seems really hard. I did not say you must be perfect in thought, word, and deed, for none is perfect. But your intention to be perfect, to love perfectly, to be kind, merciful, and entertain absolutely no malice towards others. If you have made this resolution, you will stand. But if you are standing in self-righteousness, pointing the finger, quarreling, judging, standing in my place, giving out judgments, then you are doomed to remain in the tribulation. Why do you think I have given you all these meditations, Clare? To prepare us? That's exactly right. I want to leave no one behind, but some of you have hardened your hearts towards each other and have trampled the innocent and the blind. Many of you on the internet have taken shots at one another. You have wounded, crippled, and left them to die, isolated, despised, and without the fruits of their labor. Unless you repent and are found to be a blameless one, you might as well start making plans to stay here. You will not be taken. Love is my standard. Patience, long-suffering, kindness, mercy, meekness, the Beatitudes. This is a description of my bride. If you are willfully countering the Beatitudes, you still don't have my heart. You still don't resemble me. My bride must resemble me. Some of you will say, this is too harsh. But I say to you, if you do not repent of these sins, you are harboring hatred. Am I to marry a bride steeped in rancor, jealousy, and hatred? If you truly repent of these sins, you will be taken. I began to hesitate. Clare, please, this is me. Don't let me down. Shall I wait until after the rapture for them to find out they were not worthy to stand before me? Why do you think I chastise you so severely when I see one of these attitudes in you? Do you realize the seriousness of this behavior? Shall I reward a soul with an incorruptible body and place in heaven who hates his brother and sister, The very one I suffered and died for? I don't care what others have done to you. If you are my bride, I have given you the grace to forgive and make an act of the will to love that person for my sake. I have given this grace to every single one. If you don't exercise it, what am I to think? She is my wife, but she hates that soul I died for. Is that an equal yoke? You see, I can overlook your weaknesses, but I cannot overlook your willfulness. There are those among you who, perhaps, are very weak or lacking in mature understanding to do as I say. For them there is mercy, but for you who call yourselves my disciples, and teachers and prophets, you must walk in my ways. Is it not written in Matthew 7, verses 21 through 23? Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven will enter. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name cast out demons, and in your name perform many miracles? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me. Buy of me fire-tried gold. Message from Jesus through Sister Clare from May 6th, 2015. Jesus began, My children, I have such wonderful things for you to do, but your obstinacy in choosing your location ties my hands. There are connections waiting to be made, a broadening of your horizons, and deepening of your understanding, if only you would come under the yoke of obedience. Many are confused about what it means to honor and obey your mother and father. It does not mean to let them take my place in your life and let them dictate what your life should be. Honor them in their old age. Help as you can. Celebrate their birthdays with them. Treat them with respect and reverence in all your dealings, but never give them the helm. This is meant for me and me alone. Matthew 10, verse 37. Is it not written, Anyone who loves their father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Anyone who loves their son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Steps in obedience and their eternal meaning. Message from Jesus through Sister Clare from May 18th, 2015. Jesus began, Please, I need you to persevere. Souls are being reached because of your obedience. My bride is beautiful beyond description. Every footstep, every intention is sanctified in holiness because she is mine. She has given herself over to me, 100%. Her obedience is not just beautiful, it is exquisite. While the rest of the world is running to and fro in their own will, her footsteps are divinized by her obedience. She cannot see the beauty of her feet and each step she takes, but even that leaves a divine fragrance behind her. If I were to paint you a picture of the value of her obedience, you would see beautiful and perfect feet in golden sandals, studded with pearls and jewels, and each footstep would give off a sweet melody of chimes. And when she lifted her foot, lilies would immediately spring up and give off their fragrance. Luminescence would surround them and give off light. And the more difficult her tasks, the more wonderful the sounds given off, the more copious the flowers and fruits. And as she travels that well-worn path every day, fruit trees would begin to spring up on either side of the path with delightfully fragrant flowers. and, eventually, delectable fruit that sustains even the most weary and war-torn of souls. This is the meaning her obedience has to me, and these flowers of love never fade like the ones on the earth. No, rather they continue to multiply until there is a forest full of them. They are flowers that can be picked and last forever, giving off their fragrance throughout time. And I come to her garden and prune these trees and flowers so they will give off even more fruit. And how beautiful is this garden, with its trellises and delicately hanging branches that are as pleasing to the eye as they are to the palate. So, you see, obedience is no small thing. Not only does it bring forth fruit for the moment, but in eternity as well. And I come into the garden and pick this fruit and ship it off to many different places where healing is needed. You see, there are graces invested in this fruit because it was done in love and obedience. So the grace brings forth a fruit that can be eaten and benefit others. Oh, the mysteries I would love to share with you all. So many mysteries and things that would amaze you endlessly. The doings of heaven and the spiritual life are without end. You see, this obedience creates an atmosphere of heaven of sorts. Truly, my kingdom has come. My will has been done. And oh, yes, the devils hate these spiritual gardens and are constantly figuring out ways to destroy them. They mainly use selfishness, self-will. Pleasures of the palate can inspire selfishness. Worldly accomplishment can also inspire it. Anything that brings pleasure to self can be used to infest the garden with hideous worms and bugs that destroy everything in sight. The worms of pleasure attack the stems of the flowers. The little bugs of self-preoccupation nibble away at the flowers until they are unsightly and brown. The mold of pride begins to grow on the roots until they can no longer produce and sustain the flowers. The refining fires are coming. Message from Jesus through Sister Clare from September 13th, 2015. Jesus began. This is going to be a time of proving, a time of testing and trying, that fire-tried gold may be exalted among the people. Many will fall away, many. They will not be able to handle the persecution and rejection. I have prepared you, my army of brides. I have taught you much about yourself. Why? Because when the gate of virtue is abandoned, the hordes of enemy fighters penetrate and bring you to your knees. If you stand in virtue, you cannot be penetrated. Stand in love, patience, long-suffering, peacemaking, humility, and thanksgiving. And I charge you now, under no circumstances are you to judge others. This will be the downfall of many. Judgment has been made a hobby and pastime by many who call themselves by my name. Judgment will be the greatest weapon Satan has against you. When you judge, you are going down. Now I am standing afar off, watching this battle as I am also truly at your right hand, and I am preparing you for the coming onslaught. People will wonder, what in the world is going on? Why is every day so full of anxiety and trouble? What is the world coming to? These will even be sentences you will hear repeated over and over again. And yes, it is the force of dark matter and the proliferation of demons entering through portals that will cause such anarchy, as man has not known on this earth before. Finally, science has the weapons to destroy humanity from the inside out. eaten up with jealousy, greed, rage, lust, and rebellion. Each will be his own undoing. This is why virtue at this time is paramount. Without virtue, you will be taken captive or slain in the battlefield. Without intimacy with me, you will not have virtue. Without obedience to me, there will be little, if anything, left of our relationship. My brides, love is what our relationship is based on. And if you love me, you will obey me. If you are slandering or undermining your neighbor, you are destroying your relationship with me. Without faith, it is impossible to please me. And now I tell you truly, without love for your brother, it is impossible to please me. Do not for one moment abandon the gate of virtue, nor for 1 second give in to the burning desire to hate. This is coming directly from demons who are flaming you with the fires of hatred Satan has for everything and everyone I created. Do not partake of his poison. Do not fall under his influence. Be my Gideon's 300. It's time to be focused and obedient. Message from Jesus through Sister Clare from February 11th, 2016. Jesus began, "All of your faculties you must surrender to me again. Place them with faith into my hands, knowing that your Lord and your love, the espoused of your heart and soul, is worthy of your complete trust. I will free you from the tyranny of memories, as the enemy will try to play on your affections, relationships, and any remaining attachments to people and things in the world. If these relationships are good and loving, give them to me. I love them far more than you ever could, and I will take them into my special care, out of love for you. But now it is time to be intentionally single-minded." Keep up with your daily duties, but do not get bogged down with any projects. I need for you to be as Gideon's wise soldiers. They had come to a watering hole on their way into a major battle. He was told only to take the men who bent on one knee and drank with their hand, as they were alert and watching, even then for the enemy. Those who bent down with their hands and knees, drinking like dogs, he was told to send back home. They would be of little or no use in the great battle that was about to ensue. Even with that, I would yet test Gideon's obedience further still. I cannot stress the importance of obedience strongly enough. You need to spend more quality time in prayer. By that I mean, it isn't enough just to have a personal relationship with me now. Now, you must have a familiar relationship with me. What do I mean by familiar? You are saved, and you know me in a loving, beautiful, and personal way, as I do you. But we are coming into a time when, as I said to my apostles, I no longer call you servants, for a servant does not know what his master is about. No, now I call you friends. Disobedience has consequences. Message from Jesus through Sister Clare from September 29th, 2016. Jesus began, "There are consequences to disobedience. That is why I am training you in obedience. If you stay obedient to me and follow that still small voice inside of you, you will avoid a lot of heartaches. I cannot spare you of those, Clare, when you don't listen to me. My precious heart dwellers, we have now come to the place where the rubber meets the road. This is it. This is the very crux of your lives. If you want to take my hand and step into unimaginable glory, you must also be ready to be stripped of everything dear to you. I am not asking you to strip your lives. I am asking you to be ready to suffer anything for the love of me. Not anything of your choosing, but what I choose for you. If you were to make your own choices, they would be the wrong ones. Wait for me. Wait for me to show you what is no longer necessary in your lives. Do not second guess me. Rather, wait on me, and I will reveal it to you. Join me in suffering, like a good soldier of Christ Jesus. A soldier refrains from entangling himself in civilian affairs in order to please the one who enlisted him. And remember the sacrifice of Abraham. I tested his love for me, yet I did not take his free will offering. I provided instead my own. Remember that, as you face challenges, to let go. I am refining your love for me. What I am looking for is your 100% commitment to me, and not necessarily what you think I am asking for. As it is written in Genesis 22, verses 12 through 13, he said, "Do not lay hand on the boy, nor touch him, for now I know that you revere God, seeing that you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." And Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and saw behind him a ram caught in a bush by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up for a burnt offering instead of his son. Obedience and willingness. Message from Jesus through Sister Clare, from November 25th, 2016. Jesus began, "The making of a vessel unto honor is a messy business. The pot must be broken, and every vestige of the old life must be given up and ground to a powder. If not given up in fact and in practice, at least given up by resolution and continued attempts in obedience." A potter must work the mass with his hands and slam the clay down on the slab to remove the hidden air bubbles, the pride, which will cause the vessel to burst in the pressure and temperatures of the kiln. Unless that lump of clay is willing to be slammed down repeatedly, with great injury done to their pride, that clay is useless to me. It will only explode under pressure, and pressure is what is necessary to bring that vessel to completion and into my service. So, I entreat you, if you are showing up and offering yourselves to serve me, and are not prepared to sustain heavy losses, losses of all you are, all you could be, all you have been in the world. If you are not willing to have the pride pounded out of you, please do not weary me with a double mind. Rather, stay in the world until you are fully sick to death of it, and truly are willing to go through anything to serve me. Let me do it my way. Message from Jesus through Sister Clare, from February 18th, 2017. Jesus began, "You are stubborn, Clare. It is hard for me to turn your head once you get going." Yes, I know this, Lord. It is a fault that can easily lead to sin. That is why I have to push the brakes to the floor in your conscience, or you don't listen. If you would take a clue earlier on, it wouldn't cost you so much. This cost you much today. And beloved, your very real enemy gets on your back and rides you like a racehorse to his appointed finish line, not mine. Your greatest protection is obedience. Message from Jesus through Sister Clare, from March 24th, 2017. Jesus began, "Dear ones, I cannot use a disobedient soul effectively. Obedience is the very hinge on which other things depend. Those who understand this and are brutally faithful, taking their will by force and making it behave, are the ones who reach the high calling. Those who compromise and put off obedience are the ones I must set aside for the mission I intended them to have. Please, do not be one of these any longer. Do what is right when it is right, and do not delay. Someone once said, delayed obedience is not obedience at all. And oh, how true that is. Now, I do not want you mourning over this, but grabbing hold of the rope of the grace of obedience and never letting it go. Obedience is your protection and guarantee of graces continually flowing and feeding those around you. Once you abandon obedience, you have abandoned all the benefits I could have given you had you stuck with it. This is a massive problem in your society, because so many distractions present themselves and are laid at your feet as traps to ensnare you and frustrate my will for you. Pride is also behind this, giving in to your own wisdom instead of cleaving to my instruction. Satan brings many down this way. Please, do not be another one of his victims. Rather, do violence to your will and follow steadfastly in my footsteps. This is how you will reach the high calling I have for you. The most direct path to pleasing me is obedience, which opens the windows of heaven, which pour forth graces on you and all those around you. Conquer your flesh with the power of obedience. When you are lacking, cry out to me, Lord, deliver me from evil, that is, the evil of disobedience. The battle is raging, Clare, raging and raging. You know what would disqualify you for the rapture. Message from Jesus through Sister Clare from April 7th, 2017. Jesus began, if you are deliberately in disobedience and rebellion and turn from the right way to follow your own will, you will be left behind. Right now, it is looking good for you, but guard your ways, my bride. The enemy is clever and has his sights on you. And not just you, but all ministers. The sheep follow the shepherd, and if the enemy can mislead you, the flock will follow. This is why ministers and their children are big targets. However, you are loving me and wanting to love me more by your actions and will, and this is the safest place for you and the flock to be. But to answer your question directly, it takes a long time to turn a man's will from the world to me. And if they heed the warnings now, they may indeed be ready. That is why these warnings are still being sent out. And as we discussed, I have been in your life, shaping your behavior for 9 years. My people, if you are living for yourself, you are at high risk of being left behind. If you are living for me and obedient to my known will, you are safe and will be taken. It's just that simple. Examine your hearts and your life for fruit. Examine your motives. Get to the bottom of why you do what you do. If it is done out of any other motive than love for me and your brother, you are at risk and need to abandon those ways. I so long for you, but man in his pride does not like to obey. Message from Jesus through Sister Clare from June 4th, 2018. Jesus began, my precious family of heart dwellers. Indeed, I love to dwell with you in your hearts. And those who do not yet understand what that is, It is the prayer of worship and delight you take in my presence. And how do you arrive there? By letting go of the world, your opinion about yourself, and longing for me deeply in your heart. I do not disappoint good wills. Obedience truly is the way to my heart and to the revelation of my being. I long to reveal myself to all of you, but some of you are not quite ready. You are still hanging on to the pleasures of the world. You're still resisting me in things I've asked you to do. And Clare struggles with this as well. But when you resolve in your will that nothing is more important to you than me, that's when I will be able to change your heart. Ask for this. Lord, change my heart so that you are the only thing important to me. This does not come overnight. For most, it is a journey of letting go of the world and embracing what you think will please me. It's a matter of deep integrity. To integrate your values as a Christian into your whole life, with no corners of darkness where the devils may exploit you. It is when you give permission to the little things, against what you imagine my will to be for you, that the enemy gets a toehold inside the door to your heart. When the door is barred, he cannot even begin to gain entrance into your heart. So he works on you, playing you, feeding you permissions to do what I would not have you do, even as Satan did in the garden, as he lied. Surely you will not die if you eat of this fruit. Yes, he talked Eve into doing what she knew was wrong, and look at what it cost them. You do not see the monster trying to enter your heart. Rather, it looks more like a tiny mouse. The issue is so small. But understand, it can become big and overwhelming in very little time. Just like a tiny match in the forest can destroy thousands of acres, so can a tiny compromise do the same. I am repeating myself because I long to have intimate fellowship with you all, and it hurts my heart just as much as it hurts yours when we are not communing together. Oh, how I miss you, my precious ones. This is why obedience to the little things is so important. It takes you from one rung on the ladder to the next, and the next, and the next. And pretty soon, you are in my arms, and we are having that sweet time of fellowship we have both longed for. You see, man in his pride does not like to obey. He seeks independence, self-sufficiency, doing it his own way, his own prowess and devices, making his own decisions. But in my world, it is the little ones who seek dependence on me. Trusting me, they find completeness in me, and leave the prowess up to me in dealing with the world and the devil. It is the worshipful heart that stirs me to pity and longing for you. Is it not difficult to worship when you know you have transgressed or neglected my invitations? I do not expect you to be perfect, just long to be perfect for me. This moves my heart. Selfishness pushes me away, and I must take you through a series of lessons to learn how important selflessness is. You must meet yourself at rock bottom and discover how very vulnerable you are before you are totally willing to allow me to be your everything, your provider, your all in all. And work with all your strength to resist the temptations and allurements of the world. And to work with all your strength to do the things that I have asked you to do. that I hint at you to do, things that you don't want to do because of a hurtful past or difficulty in your environment. Things you just don't want to do, but yet you know deep down inside, I want you to do them. Cleave to me, my precious ones. Cry out in temptation and run from every occasion of sin. Beg me to remove that stubborn self-will that stands in the way of you doing what you know I really do want you to do. And if you fall, return to me with a docile and repentant heart, and I shall restore you. But the greatest blessing of all is the sweet fellowship we will have, because you have chosen me over all else in the world, even over yourself. Remember, this is a journey, and I am committed to you all the way through to the end. Be committed to me as well, and I will fulfill those empty and aching places within you with my sweet presence. Serious warning to some heart dwellers, to the ignorant, the scoffers. Message from Jesus through Sister Clare from March 18th, 2019. Jesus began, "Whatever your excuses, it will not stand before my Father, who has chosen the pure brides, totally dedicated to me and not a split agenda. This much for me and my world, and if I still have time, this much for God. You used to be one of those people, Clare, even in your grey habit. But I gave you a solemn warning, and many more heavy warnings, and you have listened. I am not addressing the brides that are doing everything in their power to obey and follow the desires of my heart. I am addressing you who have been sitting on the fence, watching to see if the next tragedy forecast will happen, or not, thinking to yourselves, oh, they're just crying wolf again. Nothing happened after all. And you who are cynical and unbelieving, making fun of my prophets, on that day you will know where you stand with me, and he will have your answer to your scornful remarks. She's just crying wolf again. For you who are sincere, please continue in your faithfulness to what I have entrusted to you. Please keep doing the right thing, for I am very pleased and approving of you. And you shall wear the bridal crown on that day, and you shall partake of the delights of my banquet. You are doing all you can to carry the world along and bring them to me. Well done. Continue on this course. But please add to these warnings, for those who are ignoring me in order to eat themselves full of the follies of this world. I love them too. I will grieve over them being left behind. So I ask you to warn them, and I will anoint your words in their hearts, and they will hear my entreaty over and over again when they are about to choose their own will. Whose idea of life are you living? Whom do you follow? Message from Jesus through Sister Clare from August 15th, 2022. Jesus began, "My love, these days are full of lessons for you, and I have made it so. I want you to feel utterly secure in my will, and for that to happen, you must know my will. In fact, this is a major part of the work I have set out for you to do for my body. I cannot stress enough the importance of this. Listen, my people, any of you who say, I do not know God's will because I cannot see or hear him. Anyone who says that is either totally new to the faith or lazy, stiff-necked, unbelieving, or protecting the purse of their own opinion. They are in it for just heaven, not for love of me. Tell me this, those of you who know me, would I allow myself to be tormented, tortured, and crucified for you, and then give you no way to know what my will was for your life? This thought is utterly ludicrous. You have been fooled into believing it is beyond you to hear from me, to see me, to obtain my help for your life. And I have given you so many helps to get there. But are you using them? I have a specific gift and calling for each one of you. I have built you with the DNA to fulfill that will, with my assistance. So, you have no excuse for your ignorance. Would you like to be one of those who is living the life of fulfillment and joy? Knowing that I am with you every step of the way, because it is my will, and I am faithful to equip you. Before you learn discernment, you must learn humility and obedience. Once those attributes are truly in place, then you are well disposed to learn discernment. Toss out all your preconceived ideas and come before me totally empty. From this place, I can begin to lead you. Some have felt the nudge for a very long time, but your parents own you, and what they say goes. So, you are at the university, learning to serve the world. To you I say, I am very, very sad for you. I pray you will wake up and desire only to fulfill my plans for your life. You will never find fulfillment and happiness in your parents' opinions of what you should do with your life. And right now, you are not happy. You do not have peace. You have so many questions about what you were really created to do. You have this deep, uneasy feeling in your gut that what you are giving all your time and energy over to is really not for you, or what you want deep down inside your heart. My dear ones, it is so very simple. Stop living for everyone else. Follow your heart until it witnesses to you that you have found your place in life. You will never be deeply happy and fulfilled until you do that. I called you, but you missed me, and now you're set on a course way different from what I was calling you to. So, let me give you some godly counsel. Pull away from everyone and everything, and spend some time seeking only me and my will for your life. Autumn is coming, and with the change of seasons come changes in lives, which I orchestrate. I am calling you again, beloved. Do not turn away from me this time, for you will have deep regrets for the rest of your life. Say yes to me, and watch me engineer your detachment from the world. Truly, this is where discernment begins, removed from every worldly encumbrance. I am with you and will not abandon you in this work. As you follow me, you will find the power, the ability, and the courage to continue on, even if the whole world is against you. Time is running out. Choose wisely, my dear heart dwellers. Message from Jesus through Sister Clare, from August 26th, 2022. Jesus began. The problem lies with pride and disobedience. You want to live this life, but you want your own way. I'm asking you to choose this day who you will serve. Is it going to be your flesh and your culture, or me? If you choose me, the cost will be great. But in the end, when you face me at the judgment, you will be among those worthy of my reward. Choose the way of humanity and your flesh, and there will be great sadness when you see what you missed out on. I will still love you, but your remorse will be deep and affect your station in eternity. I am with you. I am for you. Eye has not seen, neither has it ever entered into your mind what I have prepared for those of you who overcome themselves. Try, beloved ones, just try and allow me to equip you. There is very little time left for you to get it right. Things are changing rapidly behind the scenes, and your country is at a crossroads. You are at a crossroads, and you cannot continue to be prideful and rebellious any longer. Go the extra mile for me, and I will make you indestructible. Cave to your flesh and self-will, and you will lose all I have cherished and prepared to give you. Time is running out. Choose wisely, my dear heart dwellers. Choose wisely.